Yeah, so before I have finished this, before I go to bed, I will try. I will just go through this topic because I think it's not a waste at all. So how do you connect between VPC, right? Sometimes you can do VPC peering. That is the most obvious option, right? And it's not transit. But how about transit gateway? Is that transit? So it's peering only across regions, not within region, right? So it means that it's a good option. Side to side VPN, so you use software as well, and you connect between VPC using VPN, and if using managed VPN, this time is different. You can choose VPN using AWS VPN connection provided by AWS. So we can have only this way to do the VPN using IP security, right? IPsec specific raw and direct BGP peering. You can use managed VPN, VPC to VPC routing by GUI over IPsec security, and that's good as well. Private link is another option. This is to deploy your service within. You can only use the VPC endpoints available within your address region, and it's very high row scaling. So let's go through each of them. The first one is VPC peering. It's really understandable, right? You can peering them between account, between region, and peering is using AWS backbone networks, so it's not going to public internet. So it's it's reducing the threat and common exploit your DDoS attack, right? So it's really safe and it's faster as well. Yeah, this is the most common way to communicate between VPC if you don't have much VPC at all. But if you have more VPC, you will have to use transit gateway and do a transit gateway peering. So this means you are using hub and spoke architecture, and each VPC only need to connect to a transit gateway to get access to all the connected VPC. So it's a more flexible way. It's a lot more flexible way compared to VPC peering. VPC peering is good for like 2 VPC, I think, but if you have communicate across VPC and you want a transit connection, then you need to use transit gateway. You only need to connect the VPC with the transit gateway, and after you connect with the transit gateway, you do a transit gateway peering, and it can communicate with one another easily. So it's a very great option at all. So if you want a more secure connection, you will use a VPN tunnel between 2 or more software VPN applied to connect to multiple VPC into a large virtual private network. So it means that you use things EC2 instance, as a VPN termination to connect one another. So software VPN to AWS manage is the same thing, but this time you using one side use virtual private gateway, right, and another is using software VPN, right, to establish a connection between the two. Single point filter. So if the instance die, you cannot do communication between 2 VPC. Managed VPN, what is that? You still using virtual private gateway, but now you do a combination with your customer router firewall, and who do the IPsec connection? Is that is your router, right? you do that yourself. You have your software to do a VPN connection. The second one is using direct connect, but this time you have a private VF, right? You can connect with a virtual private gateway or trusted gateway as well, and you have a VPN software in your data center, right? And it will route you one another's VPC to VPC routing through on the customer router, and that's work too actually. And the final one is private link. So private link is like, for instance, you can communicate with all the instance using an endpoint service, right? So this means you can enable to connect to some address service as well as service hosted by another address cloud. It's called endpoint services, and support address market panel service via private IP address in your VPC. So the interface endpoint are created directly inside your VPC using elastic network interface and IP address in your VPC subnet. That means your VPC security group can be used to manage the access endpoint. So all of them have the pros and cons, and you have to choose. In my opinion, if you have large scale VPC to VPC connection, I would recommend using trusted gateway. But it does come with a cost, right? It costs a little bit higher. But if you have only several VPC and you don't need to communicate one another too much, you only need a VPC peering. That's all you need. And if you want to have a connection between, you want to use VPN, right? I would suggest that using AWS managed VPN. So VPN to AWS using virtual private gateway as well as a software, and that's it. You do have the single point failures. And if you have optimized, you use it yourself, you configure the express connection yourself, but it does come with a cost of operation cost, right? You have to set up. And for some private service using private link endpoint, and that's all you need. You don't need any connection, any peerings, any operation, any routable updates. You only need an VPC endpoint. That's it. So let's just go to quickly the software remote access to Amazon VPC connection. So there's two ways to communicate. You're using AWS client VPN endpoint. AWS client VPN. So it means it's using an AWS managed remote access solution to Amazon VPC to internet network, and that is for OpenVPN client only. But if you want more flexible, you can can use your own software client VPN, right? And then you host it on an EC2 instance with a public IP, and that's it. So looking at this diagram about transit VPC option, this diagram is a bit complex if you look at it. Let me zoom it up a bit. So we have a transit VPC with a VPC in the middle. You have a EC2 router. You know, it's an IPsec VPN with all the VPN. I mean, with all the VPC, right? So this EC2 instance is like router is an VPN client, right? So it do an encryption for you, right? And your corporate data center can just establish an VPN connection with the EC2 instance, right? With the software VPN client VPN, software client VPN, right? And when you forward the request here, you actually have you can communicate with all the VPC that connect to this transit VPC. So we understand what is transit VPC already, right? It means that, let me tell the definition again. It means to build a software VPN, right? Design. So we create a global transit network or AWS. A transit VPC is a common transit strategy for connect multiple geographically dispersed VPC and remote network in order to create a global network transit center. Global network transit center. A transit VPC simplifies the network management and minimize the number of connections required to connect to multiple VPC and remote network. You understand what's the idea, right? Yeah, you have a transit VPC, a VPC with only one job is to forward to do the VPN connection between all the VPC and a corporate data center. And I think I think that is pretty much it. But what is benefit about this one is you can do nothing. You don't need to worry about overlapping network range. You have nothing things inside this one. Is do the nothing. It's so good for the preventing overlap network range, and it can do more filtering and inspection for the packet, right? And it will also support use cases like private networking and share connectivity across account. But it does come with a cost of networking, operational overhead. Everything comes with a cost, right? So for hierarchy, obviously you always create two VPN tunnel, right? One you use, and here you have a two software VPN appliance. You have two instances to contain the software VPN client. You have a scaling group to do that, right? And you have a VPN monitor to help check them, or just to change the endpoint at all. So the monitoring software-based VPN client allow you to create VPN monitoring, and it's custom instance that allow you to do monitoring script. What it intends to do is to run and monitor the state of VPN connection and VPN instance. So if a VPN instance goes down, the monitor needs to stop and terminate and restart the VPN instance, while also rerouting the traffic from the affected subnet to working VPN until both of them working again. So I think that's pretty much it for the software, for the VPC to VPC, for the your network to the VPC topology. I think we can learn this further on when we